kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
There was a lot of fun and exciting racing at Texas last week. Now we come to the end of the second block of Xfinity Series races here at Iowa Speedway. It is round number 8 of the Western States Racing League. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Right now, not quite sure what we're going to be doing as far as a broadcast partner. The one, Mike DeMoney, who's usually here with me, I know for sure will not be here. My broadcast partner in waiting right now is a question mark, but we will roll with the punches. So we'll either be myself and Zach Woods later on. If not, it will be just me for your for your broadcast tonight. A lot of great action that we saw at Texas last time out, a track where you really had to save that right front tire, especially in the Xfinity cars, a car that is known on this sim for being really, really rough and really, really harsh on the tires. Really played to that, especially down in turns 1 and 2 at Texas, as you would expect. Here tonight, they're coming to a track that has a very, very similar rate of wear on the tires. Iowa Speedway, while it may be a short track, it is very, very difficult to get around on the tires especially. There's a lot of bumps, there's a lot of ridges, there's a lot of dips throughout this racetrack that are going to be giving these drivers fits all night long. We'll take a look at the point standings coming into tonight. Right now it's a 14-point lead for Jeff Schmeier coming into tonight's race. Now Schmeier did have a little bit of an issue with fuel calculation last week at Texas Motor Speedway. Coming in, losing a little bit of points, but he still maintains the points lead that he currently holds right now. 14 points. Wayne Hutchinson, Brian Barnes, Jeff Hollingsworth, Ross Rawlings, your top five as they sit in the point standings right now as we take a look through the rest of this field. A lot of guys that you'll see from 28th on back, only about one or two starts for a vast majority of them here so far on this season, as we're getting set inside of a minute to go before we get into the qualifying session here tonight. Jeff Hollingsworth, right now the fastest of the drivers that have taken practice times here tonight. There is Jeff Hollingsworth in that number 97 on track right now. Brian Barnes, Butch Davis, also in that top three, very, very close to each other are a lot of these guys as far as the top drivers are concerned, as we are just a couple of seconds away from jumping into this qualifying session as we are getting set to go here for tonight's race. The practice session has come to a close, as we will now begin qualifying to see who will be on the pole here tonight at Iowa. As it appears as though Christian Bishop will be the first, or one of the first, to roll off. Earl Weaver furthest along right now as far as the outlaps are concerned. Earl Weaver, Christian Bishop, Wayne Hutchinson. Second place in points coming into tonight is that number 17. Certainly going to be looking for a solid run out of that Toyota Supra. Hopefully catching a little misfortune for Jeff Schmeier, help him make up that 14-point deficit in the point standings. As Hutchinson on lap number 1 down on the bottom line. There is progressive banking here at Iowa, so guys will find the outside line to be quick. They'll find the bottom line to be quick. Wayne Hutchinson right now finding the bottom line quickest at 23.93 on his first lap. So Hutchinson right now sitting on pole. Jeff Hollingsworth, a big slide coming out of turn 4, and that's unfortunate for him. You saw there on the timing scroll down at the bottom, fastest of all in the first sector, and that's going to ruin both laps for him as Charles Woods goes fastest of all to 23.90. Series debutant Justin Michael in the 87. Now second quickest, Mike Fisher, the number 19 tonight. Charles Woods going a little bit quicker on that second lap in the number 40. 23.86. As Fisher setting personal best, not gaining another position though. 23.95 for Mike Fisher sets him in P4. Javier Torres completing his first lap, 11th quickest. Slowest of the drivers that have taken time so far. Jeff Hollingsworth pole on that one and only lap that he got at 23.80. Very, very good time for Jeff Hollingsworth, even with the mistake on the first lap, as we see Dennis Fuson in the number 10. Fuson 12th fastest on his first lap. He'll go up to 6th at a 24:02. So a very nice jump for Dennis Fuson. Bob Beltrami on track. Took the last couple of weeks off to recover from surgery, but now the number 14 back on track. Beltrami running that middle line again with the progressive banking. You're going to see guys taking different lines all throughout this race. Beltrami, 15th quickest. As Beltrami making his way through 3 and 4. 7th quickest for the number 14. Lyle Swearingen jumps onto the second row in the number 86. Or 68, pardon me. There's the dyslexia kicking in. Everyone has completed their lap thus far. Butch Davis and Kyle McCartney sitting at the end of pit road. Those are the only two drivers who are close to getting on track right now. Everybody else has stayed on pit road as we are about halfway through this qualifying session, and we got everything sorted out with our broadcast partner. So Zach Woods will now be joining me. Zach, it was an entertaining get into this session for both of us, I would say, tonight.
Absolutely, and I'm really excited to to take a look and see all the action here. This is my first time in the booth covering these guys. Really excited for the action. We got a great car track combo here tonight, Frank. Should provide some excellent racing.
Absolutely. You just saw Butch Davis spin through turn 1 and 2 on his first lap. Barry Phil starting his first flyer right now with the number 42. Kyle McCartney. Wayne Fleet now getting out on track as well. Butch Davis back out on track. Just about 4 minutes to go. So a lot of time for these guys to get their qualifying efforts in. Barry Phil's first lap, a 24:29 for the number 42. Butch Davis on his one and only attempt now gets loose out of turn 2. He's drifting this car around tonight. Big wiggle there once again for Butch, and that's not going to be the lap he was hoping for. A 24:58 for the number 43 as Wayne Fleet comes in with a 24:61. Some of the heavy hitters still to go. Ryan Steele just getting out on track. Kyle McCartney goes 9th quickest. Brian Barnes, 3rd quickest in the practice session, just getting out on track right now. There is Ryan Steele, Brian Barnes working through. As Steele goes 7th quickest on his first lap, Barnes 8th. These two guys 0.02 of a second off each other. Steele electing the outside line through 3 and 4, at least on his second lap. His second lap will not be better than his first. Barnes, though, is looking to pick up a little bit. And he will pick up a little bit. Pick up to second, a 23:85 for Brian Barnes in the number 4. As Jeff Schmeier works his way out on track. Two minutes left here in this qualifying session. Jeff Hollingsworth at a 23:80. Fastest qualifier so far.
Yeah, and these guys are going to really have to manage the difference in these race cars in terms of what is feeling good right now during your qualifying session, and then ultimately what feels good during your race session, right? Because we're here at Iowa, there's no place to hide for these drivers that are trying to maneuver their way around the racetrack. It might feel great right now. You got a lot of clean air on the nose of your car, of course, going out there in single car qualifying sessions. That handling line for you, if you're not starting up front, is going to feel so different as you bear on down into turn 1 and 2. So you might be comfortable with the car right now. You might be qualifying top 10 going, hey, I like how this feels. Well, that's going to be a totally different story by the time the green flag drops.
Jeff Schmeier going 5th quickest on his first lap, and he will better his time, but not his position. 5th quickest for the number 30. As we're down inside a minute to go, Dustin Burns will be the last one to get qualifying times in. Bentley Glazer, Keith Kelman, Alan Bergen, Chris Walker, Eric Woods, Will Fletcher, Fred Williams, Dan Brazington, the drivers that will not qualify for tonight's race. And we'll start from the back, albeit by their iRating.
It's all right. Here at Iowa, you're not really sure what chaos might befall you. So I think I'd rather start last than start mid-pack. So you're safe for the most part back there. We'll put it that way.
Dustin Burns completing his second lap. Second lap faster than his first at 24:38. Good enough for 21st. As we get set to go here at Iowa Speedway, we'll take a look at the grid of 32 cars set to show off here at Iowa. Jeff Hollingsworth with a time of 23.803 takes pole, with Brian Barnes about a half a tenth off on row number 1. Charles Woods and Lyle Swearingen will make up row number 2, with Jeff Schmeier and Justin Michael in row number 3. Wayne Hutchinson and Mike Fisher in row 4. Row 5 will see Ryan Steele and Bob Beltrami. Dennis Fuson and Kyle McCartney will sit in row number 6. Row 7 goes to Christian Bishop and Paul Crumride. David Weaver and Julian Ricci in row 8. Earl Weaver and James Campbell making up row number 9. Javier Torres and Barry Phil in row 10. Row 11 will see Dustin Burns and Butch Davis. Wayne Fleet and Stephen Banting will make up row number 12. Row 13 goes to Bentley Glazer and Dan Brazington. Keith Kelman and Eric Woods in row 14. Row 15 will see Fred Williams and William Fletcher. Chris Walker and Alan Bergen will make up the 16th and final row. Everyone from Glazer on down, starting by their iRating after not putting down a time in qualifying. Weather conditions for tonight's race, just past 8 o'clock p.m. in sim time. Next to no wind blowing right now, 77 degree ambient temperature, 80 degree track temperature, so it's still a little bit warm as we start heading towards the night here in Iowa.
Yeah, but you like grip. We got grip all the way around this racetrack as the night continues to come on in tonight at this racetrack. These drivers are really going to enjoy the feel of their race cars. It will benefit the drivers that start mid-pack tonight because under normal conditions, it would not feel very good being back there here at Iowa, but they certainly have good track conditions on their side, Frank. It's not very often we cover a race where there's no wind out here, so it's just one less thing for drivers to be worried about.
Absolutely. Is another thing that these guys will be worrying about is that transition from twilight to night. Track will grip up as the night goes on, make these cars a little bit tighter as the race works its way into the night. As, again, track shorter than a mile, we get 2 pace laps. Getting set to unleash these guys once again for what will be a very, very fun night here at Iowa.
Yeah, really excited for these drivers. Of course, it's my first time being up here in the booth, so you're gonna have to hold my hand, Frank. Who do you have in terms of being a favorite at this tricky track that requires a lot of mental discipline? Who do you got your sights set out for tonight?
Well, a lot of guys that you're seeing up towards the front have been up towards the front all season long. For Jeff Hollingsworth, this is his third pole of the season. Jeff Schmeier in the 30. Right now, your points leader. Can't count out Brian Barnes, though, multi-time champ. He was on a three-year streak of winning the championship when we started broadcasting this series. Also have to watch out for Butch Davis towards the back. Bentley Glazer there as well. Four-time series champ running right now as we get set to go here. Green flag coming out. We are off and running for 160 laps here at Iowa.
An army of Camaros lead the field down into turn 1 and turn 2. Hollingsworth gets a great jump, and the battle will continue to be for Charles Woods back here in P3. He's looking for more.
Bob Beltrami 3 wide there for a moment with Mike Fisher and Wayne Hutchinson. As Hutchinson really drifting up the racetrack there, squeezing Mike Fisher up towards the outside. Hutchinson can see his championship rival Jeff Schmeier right in front of him. He wants to get a little bit closer.
Yeah, absolutely. And for these drivers now, you have to adjust to what my car races like in the pack, as there is a yellow here out on track.
46 of Earl Weaver, it would appear. Yes, it is, with Javier Torres stopped behind him as well. Earl Weaver. See what happened with him here in turn 1. Now, does he get loose or does he get help? Is Torres right there? No, he gets help from Torres.
Wow.
Dustin
Look
Burns just does catch a piece of it. Nothing too severe for that 04. Very, very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. That could have been a lot worse than what it actually was. Take a look here.
On board with Burns.
You're just kind of hoping. you're hoping they don't go where you are. Man, it doesn't get much closer than that. That's the 11 machine of Stephen Banting cutting across.
There is some right side damage on Dustin Burns' 04, but again, this series does have a fast repair, so he will be able to get that fixed up.
Yeah, that's not little damage there, Frank. That's right against the wheel well there. You can kind of see how the wheels sort of looks like it's popping out. He wants to be an open wheel car here going around here.
It's very minuscule compared to what it could have been and what we've seen in a lot of other series, what it has been. You don't get away from an incident that close to you without a good amount of damage, and for Dustin Burns, I'm sure that is an acceptable amount of damage that he will take from that incident.
Well, nothing has really changed up front here. I mean, we didn't have a long green flag run or anything to really shake things up front. We have Hollingsworth here at the point, and then going to be starting alongside of him is Brian Barnes. So it was a Chevy brigade to lead this, Frank, and it continues to be so here in the early going.
This has not been a series that has had a lot of cautions, as we had mentioned last week. At Texas, there were 7 cautions at Texas last week, and those 7 cautions were 1 less than the rest of the season combined, that being minus Bristol, with 11 cautions. To go caution-free, we marveled about it last week, but to go caution-free at Darlington for 107 laps, or 117 laps, I should say. Pretty impressive. So this series does know how to get around tricky racetracks with great success, and that's exactly what they hope to do tonight. It's typically the early race caution, then everyone settles down and we get the long runs in.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard place to do it here, though, in Iowa with such a big field tonight, Frank. We have Over 30 competitors. Oh, well, I'm going to have to check here on timing and scoring, but pretty close to 30 out here on the racetrack. Not a lot of opportunity to run and hide. So if you're at the back of the pack, there is some urgency to keep up the pace.
32 registered. Only 29 took the green. Chris Walker, Will Fletcher, and Alan Bergen did not start this race. Now we're going to be going single file here for the restart since we didn't get 2 laps of green flag racing before a caution came out. We will be going single file for this restart. So Jeff Hollingsworth will be up along the wall. Brian Barnes, Lyle Swearingen, Charles Woods, and Jeff Schmeier, your top 5. Green flag back out here at Iowa.
A much more organized restart. Of course, that is due to the nature of single file starts, but that is not going to negate battles here throughout the field. We have one raging now for 4th.
Jeff Schmeier getting to the outside of Charles Woods, Lyle Swearingen, and Brian Barnes. Swearingen started 4th, already up to 2nd in that FBR Motorsports number 68 machine. Justin Michael getting past Charles Woods as well to get himself up into the top 5 in the 87.
And it's all well and good right now. I mean, you can really push the car and be able to make some moves here early, but I'm more curious about the guys who are willing to save their stuff here at Iowa. That's such a huge story. And of course, the more you run the higher line here at this racetrack, the more danger you put yourself in later on in the run. There's a huge bump in between turns 1 and 2 if you drift up too high, and you got to know that as the run drifts on, woohoo! Speaking of drifts, you'll find that bump a time or two. So I'm looking at the guys who are out here riding the bottom early on, Frank.
Yeah, those guys are either in the position to save their tires or going to be moving around quite a bit. We're seeing Justin Michael move around quite a bit. One driver that we're expecting to see move up through the field is the number 43 of Butch Davis, running in the 18th position after qualifying in the 22nd position. Davis now up to 17th, getting around James Campbell. We had mentioned the start of the Sim Racers Edge series that started up last week at Michigan. Chad Simpson, last season's runner-up in the championship, taking home the opening round win. Butch Davis finishing 6th at Michigan to open up the season. So a very good job from those guys on the season opener. And seeing as though we don't have the ability to broadcast them because of the Dallara IR18 rules and such, I think we can probably update you guys on the series with this league. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's safe. I think that's safe. So if it's not, though, powers that be that might be watching this was Frank's idea. So
yeah, we will stop. We will stop if we can't reference Dallara IR18 leagues, then we won't do that either. As Justin Michaels now trying to work his way around the outside of Wayne Hutchinson. Hutchinson getting that pass done. Michael getting shuffled out, losing that battle to Jeff Schmeier.
Michael was really aggressive early on in this run. We were looking at that 87 making his way around this track and drifting up a little bit here early on. It's that quick how quick you can really heat up these tires and the handling can go away for you. So once on the bottom, now trying to find some speed up top.
One driver who has really moved back off the start of this race is that number 40 of Charles Woods. Has Christian Bishop in the 26 under him, Julian Ricci in the 1 behind him, Paul Crumry there as well. Woods has already dropped 11 spots from his third place starting spots. That Crown Royal number 40 with a co-sponsor of Purple Heart Homes not having a good start to this race, or it could just be uber tire save mode for that number 40.
Yeah, certainly falling back through the field here early on. You saw on the back end of that frame, though, the guy you were talking about earlier, Butch Davis, he's up to 16th. He's looking for more. Just starting to flirt in with the back end of this battle.
Four-time reigning defending champion in that plain white number 31, Bentley Glazer. Looking to the inside of Stephen Banting, collecting that position, +7 from where Glazer started tonight. He is the biggest mover of the race thus far in the forward direction. Looking to try to get David Weaver next in that number 16.
Yeah, and you really have to be patient back here with this group of cars, right? Where if you started in the back, I'm looking at a guy like Butch Davis, like Glazer, guys who have already made up 7 and 8 spots respectively through the field. You got to understand you're not going to get them all here in the first run. It's good to set expectations for yourself. How many spots? What's my target opportunity here during this one run? Can I get there? And I think these guys are really managing their equipment very well. Meanwhile, up front, Frank, it's the Jeff Hollingsworth show. He has checked out here at a track that it's kind of difficult to run and hide in, but he's most certainly doing that.
We've seen Hollingsworth pull this stunt before this season. He has pulled out to a 1.8 second lead, so he has done very, very well. His biggest bugaboo, though, of this season thus far has been getting in the middle of the pack towards the end of the race. Something always seems to happen around him that he gets collected up in. Winner of the opening round of the season. That would have been back at Dover. And from the pole, Jeff Hollingsworth trying to do, as you mentioned there, just trying to run away and hide.
Yeah, I'm very impressed here. And of course, you will know what your car is made of if you are the leader as soon as you catch a lap of traffic, because then your life starts to look like these guys back here. This is this is Kyle McCartney. This is a battle back here for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th with Fisher, Beltrami, and Steele as well. So these guys, they're not saving anything. They want their spots now.
Absolutely. And again, Bob Beltrami returning to the series after a couple of weeks away, thanks to a surgery that he had, keeping him out of the car. Missed the last couple of rounds, but returns here at Iowa. These next couple of races are going to be very, very interesting, especially to see how he's feeling. Granted, there's not a lot of physical work that needs to be done while you're sitting in a sim as compared to sitting in the real car, but there's still movement, there's still load that is put on you, and Hickory and Daytona are the next two tests for Beltrami in that number 14.
I'd almost want to go to a Daytona if that's the case, because Iowa's was not exactly a easy track to get around. There's hardly any ever break. You're just constantly sawing on the wheel, looking for positioning. Speaking of positioning, look at these two going at it here off of turn 4. But this is a physically demanding racetrack in the sim. I can think of others that are perhaps a little bit more, little bit more on the driver. But
perhaps
ultimately,
perhaps the track they go to next week, Hickory. That would probably be one of them.
Yeah, speaking of the elephant in the room, huh? So maybe it's a condition for him as he works well. I'm glad his surgery went well. Glad he's here. So we'll keep you guys updated on that as we're going to take a look now at a battle that's shaping up here for third.
Yep, second place battle right now. Lyle Swearingen starting to run away from Jeff Schmeier and Justin Michael. Schmeier in the 30, Michael in the 87. As Swearingen moving up through the field as well, very, very nicely, as has Kyle McCartney. Started in 12th. He's up 6 from where he started. And as we had mentioned before, Butch Davis and Bentley Glazer moving up through the field. Here they come, side by side, battle for 12th.
Yeah, now you're starting to figure out who saved their stuff, right? The cars that are able to really wrap the bottom, rotate it through the center of the corner, and not slide those wheels off of exit. That's probably the biggest point in which your car will generate heat in your tires. So keeping that car under control on exit is key later on in the run.
Wade Hutchinson on the outside, Mike Fisher in the 19 on the bottom. Again, this is the second race of 2 in the pair here in the Xfinity cars. Back to the trucks for the next 2 weeks, again at Hickory and at Daytona. Before we begin the second half of the season at Chicago and Pocono once again in these Xfinity cars. If you're new to the series, much like my broadcast partner, it's 2 weeks in the truck, 2 weeks in Xfinity, and they rotate back and forth, completing our second pairing here in the Xfinity cars. As Justin Michael really working well on that bottom line. He's gotten around Jeff Schmeier, now looking very threatening on Lyle Swearingen for second.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Michael here because ultimately we were counting him out about 10, 15 laps ago. He was not really moving forward as there is a caution on track.
Looks like the 6 of Wayne Fleet may have gone around. Yes, he certainly has. Fleet on the bottom. Doesn't appear to be any damage on that number 6 Folgers Ford Mustang. It's in turn 1 and 2 again. See what happened here with Wayne Fleet. It's Eric Woods in the 85 behind him, and a little bit of help. And then finish him off, why don't you?
Well, ultimately, that will be a blessing in disguise for many of these drivers, as I'm sure they're screaming about car handling right now. But
right on board with Eric Woods. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of pit stops.
Boop.
There's the first bump, and then
Boop.
just, well, I've got you that far. I may as well send you the rest of the way.
he's just escorting him off the racing surface, that's all. As we get to see a number of drivers, I'm sure everybody's coming down pit road here for fresh tires.
Everybody down except for Barry Phil, and Phil does have a tendency to do this. So I'm sure Phil will probably come down the next lap to try to get a lap led.
Hey, that's a man after my own heart. There we go. That's how I always race league races. If I want a point, I'm going to get it. And oftentimes I'm not one quick enough to get there on just raw speed. Got to lead your lap the way you can. So good job, Barry.
Come on. You're plenty fast. Come on.
So, yeah, good stuff here as we get to see the race off of pit road. Looks like everything is square between our first few competitors.
Steve Banting wins the race off of pit road, but he did not stop in his box, so the 11's going to come back down again. Jeff Hollingsworth will once again regain the race lead here as we come around under our second caution of the race. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching Round 8 action from the Western States Racing League here at Iowa. We'll be back right after this. Back to green flag action here at Iowa Speedway. Lap 37 of 160. Everyone on new rubber. Jeff Hollingsworth out in front has led every lap thus far. Lyle Swearingen and Justin Michael working their way forward.
Gone is the nearly 2-second lead that Hollingsworth had on the rest of the field towards the end of that run. Now, with the field slinking back up, can these drivers reel in who is a dominant leader? They're not going to do it battling side by side.
Well, that battle side by side is for the race lead right now as Lyle Swearingen around the outside line. He led that last lap as Hollingsworth fighting back on the inside.
As this battle continues to rage on for first, second, and third, are just sitting back watching. Hey, what lane's going to win this so I know where to go as the 68 is sideways? What a save there by Swearingen. Wow.
Swearingen with an incredible save in that number 68. Almost took out Jeff Hollingsworth in the process. Now we go single file. Let's calm it down a little bit, boys.
Nothing will get you calmed down like staring directly at the infield wall. And Swearingen did a really good job at saving that coming off of 4. Wow, that you don't make that save at this track with these cars. Terrific driving.
Kyle McCartney looking to the inside of Justin Michael now in the 87. McCartney up 8 spots now if he can get the pass done. That bottom line, it's a little bit flatter here at Iowa than the outside line, and that banking and that run helps Justin Michael prevail, at least for the moment. Now they make contact going into turn 1. Michael into the wall, into the 43 of Butch Davis, and the caution will come out. Watch out, 46 Earl Weaver.
Wow, it does not get more dramatic than that, folks. We saw the contact live as they were going side by side here for about third place, and ultimately, for Michael, that will be a fast repair down the drain. I can only imagine, as there's significant, substantial damage to that 87 machine. What an impact.
See him crab walking there as here's the contact. As the 87 turning down into the 18, into the side of the 12 of Ryan Steele.
95 got a piece of it.
It's Earl Weaver flying in.
Yeah, Fred Williams got a piece of, Butch Davis, as Butch was making his way down the hill.
On board of Earl Weaver. I think he was hoping that
He washed down the track.
yeah, and unfortunately he didn't. From Butch Davis. There was really no saving it there, and by the time that kicked off, Butch had nowhere to go.
That was a huge, I mean, it looked like, it really looked like he was able to just kind of nestle his car right up next to Michael, right up against the wall, but it really wasn't a problem until Michael sort of ricocheted his front end off the wall, kind of slinging him down the racetrack. Take a look at this view.
It's from Fred Williams here.
So close.
If you would have went middle, you'd have been fine.
Yeah, you're at that point though. You don't know if, well, you're not quite sure if the original car that was in the wreck, Michael, is going to stay up there, or go skirting down the racetrack. So, some heavy hitters involved in this one, Frank. At least that's what you told me.
Well, there certainly was. As Jeff Hollingsworth still holding station out front, Kyle McCartney will come away from that pretty much unscathed, as again that was really the 87 turning down. I think the way the 87 took that corner, he was anticipating McCartney going down to the line, and when McCartney took the middle of the track, it caught him out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that boils down to how often have you been driving around the guys that you're racing with right now? And we really hadn't talked a lot about Kyle McCartney poking in through the top 5 nearly at all. So the 18 and the 87 rather have not had a lot of time to race against each other until, well, that moment.
Kyle McCartney, a seasoned veteran here in the Western States Racing League. Meanwhile, Justin Michael, series debutant here tonight. So that would explain that end of it at least. Not insinuating that Michael's a bad driver at all. We've seen him march his way through the fields. Just, again, as Zach had mentioned, it's just that lack of knowing who you're racing against and knowing what their tendencies are, which only comes in time.
Yeah, and that changes from track to track, right? Where it's not the same. Like, there's just some drivers that race more aggressively at any given track discipline than the next, and that problem is only solved through excessive use of the practice session that is made available to these drivers. So if you're not getting that time there, you're going to have to get it during the race, and unfortunately it's 2 drivers on the same piece of pavement.
Jeff Hollingsworth leading this field away once again. Lyle Swearingen to the outside of the front row. Championship leader Jeff Schmeier running in third. Kyle McCartney P4. Brian Barnes. Wayne Hutchinson second place in points. The outside of row number 3 as we get set to get this race back underway after the third caution of the night. And Zach, why don't you take us away?
Side by side are 2 Chevrolets here up front as they're going to be leading the field, but no longer is it a brigade of just solid bow ties. You have some Fords and Toyotas side by side behind them, and of course it will be Hollingsworth getting a great jump as the control car diving down into turn 1. They'll be 2 by 2 for third behind these leaders.
Swearingen breaking free. Schmeier and McCartney battling side by side for third, as it will be Kyle McCartney, at least for the moment, having the edge on the outside line, getting very close into that wall, and also into the walls. The 88 of Paul Crumry kept it straight, though. We stay green. I believe that was Julian Ricci, and around goes the 87 of Justin Michael again. Into
More
the
problems for the 87, and the 43 is also in it. Frank, we get deja vu here in Iowa.
Same part of the racetrack as well. The 12 of Ryan Steele catching a piece of it as well again. Because that was a couple of different incidents there. See what happened first of all with the incident that we had seen. Watch the 88 and the 1 going to come together here on the outside. Netcode gets those 2 together. And then here's the 87 of Justin Michael, just broke free in the middle of the corner.
Well, I don't think he broke free, Frank. I think the 43 had more than he could handle through the back bumper of the 87. If we take another look at that, I think we're going to find out the 87 got quite a bit of help.
Yeah, let's see. See what happened there on that replay. Yeah, no, you are more than correct, sir. And then gets
nothing but accuracy from me up here, Frank. So I think that it's and for anybody that any of the viewers watching, you look at that and you go, well, how in the world does this happen? Well, you can pretty well from the onboard. The 87 is a whole nother lane higher than the 43 machine. He's thinking, much like on the last incident, that the 87, now this time we're thinking the 87 is going to stay up high in his lane, and the 43 is going to be super aggressive, split in the middle, and ultimately the 87 fills that hole, and the 43 machine was already committed.
Seeing a lot of things happen tonight as I'll be honest, I've lost my train of thought completely.
Well, that's okay. Choo choo. Here we go. We're ready. We're on lap 51 of this contest. That is 160 laps in length tonight. Butch Davis has manually disconnected. So for anybody on YouTube that's looking out for Butch, now you know where he is. As multiple cautions have befallen him, and he's out for tonight's race. They're still chasing Jeff Hollingsworth, and I'm very curious to know if anybody's got anything for that 97.
He'll be the first duplicate winner on the season if he keeps he keeps doing what he's doing. We've had 7 races, 7 different winners this season, just to show how competitive this field has been this year. And I lost my train of thought before reading this comment in the chat from Don. Is there no spotter to say something like "car inside" to prevent that kind of incident? Where you hear "car inside" and hold your line instead of cutting down. There is a spotter that these guys have. It's the iRacing spotter, or you can use a third-party program such as the Crew Chief app or something like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell you how far away they are. So while they tell you down low, they don't say a car width away or half a width away. It just lets you know that they're there. And again, if you're expecting the car below you to go to the line and they run to the middle of the racetrack, there's really not much you can do there unless you have a live spotter.
Yeah, and then you get into the benefits of different monitors in iRacing.
Yep.
If you have multiple monitors per se, then you can have that view simultaneously VR. Out. Yeah, VR, you can look around. That gives a lot more freedom to these drivers to take a peek. But if you're a guy or a girl rather, that goes out here and races with one monitor, you are at a disadvantage. iRacing does have buttons for you to look left or right as a driver. That's really hard to do here at Iowa. Man, it's just the action's so quick.
Absolutely. As we get ready to go here, start of lap 54 here at Iowa is when we will go back to green flag racing. Again, mentioned it a couple of times, back in the trucks next week at Hickory Motor Speedway. One of the newer cars to the iRacing service, and we'll be seeing newer cars and tracks coming to iRacing with the season 2 update coming out within the next couple of weeks. We know the Renault Clio is coming. The Jerez International Circuit's going to be coming as well. An update to the late model will be on its way as Jeff Hollingsworth once again runs out in front.
Huge restart here from the 97, able to pull out to 2-3 car length lead here, but S68's been really good at rolling the top. Let's see what kind of run he can get down the backstretch.
Does get a very good run. That FBR Motorsports machine of Lyle Swearingen, the other FBR Motorsports car, did not have as well a day. Butch Davis here with us now. Butch, as your teammate goes for the race lead, what happened there on those 2 incidents?
This is more the luck that I'm used to on Tuesday nights. It's just accordion effects or just guys, getting kind of... I know the first incident, I'm not even sure what happened with the 87, but he got shoved up the track and bounced off the wall or was up against the wall, and kind of expected him to stay up there and tried to bring it down, and obviously that did not work out well for us. And then the second one, I don't even know. I didn't even bother to look and see what happened. It just seemed like he jammed on the brakes in front of me. I ran into the back of him. I kind of shoved him off into the corner. Tried blowing it down and getting out of the way, and just not a good night. Had really, really good pace unexpectedly here. Not one of my favorite tracks, but hopefully Lyle and Dan are still out there trying to get it done. See how their night goes.
Yeah, you were second quickest in the practice session, and you were fastest of all for quite some time there And just from qualifying on, was it something with the track that changed, or did something with the car change?
No, the driver was an idiot qualifying. Just no bones about it. The driver was definitely an idiot. Not thinking straight. Went a little bit too hard into one on the first lap and got sideways. Ended up smacking a wall. Had to reset. And then from there, it's a one and done deal, and tried to push a little bit too hard again. And it was everything I could do to not wreck on the qualifying lap. So kind of, starting behind the 8 ball and just tried to methodically work our way forward. I knew Bentley was going to be fast. So once he got by me, it was just try to ride behind him and learn. These guys are much more versed with this car than I am. I have no problem sitting back and taking lessons. That was the plan. It just didn't work out well, so it is what it is. We'll come out on Friday, and we'll be back next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday is Trucks at Hickory. What are your expectations or hopes for that race next week?
Oh dear God!
The laughing, I think that's an answer enough.
I mean, maybe Iowa's not so bad. So, no, I feel a lot more comfortable in the trucks than I do this Xfinity car. I've driven the trucks quite a bit more. Still not as proficient in them as the Gen 6 or the IR18. Don't say the word Indy. But I mean, every time I get out on track with guys like Hollingsworth and then Bentley Glazer and some of these other guys that are Charlie Wood's another one, top-notch drivers. I'm looking to learn something from them. So, hey, I'll keep learning. No problem sitting back and taking notes.
All right, Butch. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as well as it did last week, but good luck the rest of the way. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good rest of the night. Quick shout out to my teammates at FBR Motorsports and FBR Sim Rig Accessories Creation Studio.
There you go. Butch Davis, driver of the number 43, out of this race here tonight as we see one of his teammates, Dan Brazington, as that was a big hit there for James Campbell in the 13, pushing too high off of turn 4. Keeping it straight, though, we're going to stay green.
Wow, what a save from him, but they're trying to wreck in front of him between the 1 and 11 machines.
It's Julian Ricci, who is on the lead lap, versus Stephen Banting, who is not. Banting is the first car not on the lead lap, at least for the moment, or from what I'm seeing through timing and scoring, that appears to be the case. As things have settled down quite a bit up towards the front, everyone running single file, and there's starting to become a gap between a lot of these guys. Christian Bishop moving his way forward quite well, looking now behind Wayne Hutchinson. That would be for 6th.
He's been able to rotate the center of the corner really well tonight. I've been taking a peek at him every now and again. He's one of the guys in 1 and 2 that could really wrap the bottom very well. Of course, on 3 and 4, the speed has now migrated towards that top line. So, but he can kind of go wherever he wants to at this end of the racetrack.
There is Bishop with Wayne Hutchinson now to his outside. As it's that great dive that you get going into turn 3, and then you have to do what Bishop just did, which is try a slide job move to try to keep that driver at bay. So the inside line definitely has the advantage on corner entry. It's being able to slide up out of the corner that makes makes passing really difficult here. And Bishop took him a lap, but got it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Methodical pass. It lasted about a lap and some change to get out around him. I like that move from Bishop as he works his way now up to 6th.
And that is how you pass around here, especially when the tires start to get worn. Brian Barnes Right now, running in the 10th position, Barnes starting in second. Has started to slide back a little bit. Dennis Fuson right in front of him, Charles Woods behind. Barnes starting second, Woods starting in third. Running 10th and 11th right now.
Yeah, we documented the sort of free fall of Charles Woods earlier in this race, and he's settled pretty nicely, just around 10th, hanging around the outside of the top 10. The Ford machine I'm a little bit more concerned about, and Brian Barnes, he was up front in about the 4th or 5th position. You saw that number 4 Chevrolet quite up front early and often, but can this be a sign of he used his stuff up too early?
It might be, and I think for Charles Woods, that might be the exact opposite of what happened. Maybe he took care of his stuff a little bit more than what he probably normally would have, and then that caution coming out on lap 32, that allowed him to come down pit road, gauge where his tire wear was compared to his competitors, and now he's pushing a little bit harder now, knowing how much he was saving his tires compared to everyone else around him, as Lyle Swearingen now having having a pressure put on him for second.
There is a yellow on the racetrack right now, so we're going to have to see where that is here on lap 74. This is the 13 to the inside wall. That's James Campbell.
James Campbell, once again, we saw him about 10 laps ago in trouble. See what happened here with Campbell through 1 and 2. Oh, an incident ahead of him. Wayne Fleet getting into the fence. It's Wayne Fleet, I believe, with Ryan Steele. That's who he was battling with. Oh, this is a couple of laps ago, I believe. It's been Julian Ricci instead, actually. Yep, there's Ricci. Oh, and that's why. Saw that 6-car blink.
Yep.
One car didn't know exactly where he was, and unfortunately things like that happen as pit stops cycle their way through. A couple of guys deciding to stay out, including Kyle McCartney, David Weaver, Ryan Steele deciding to stay out.
This might be a fuel call from these drivers that are up front. That tells me, well, either, which, never mind. I retract my statement. I was gonna say Kyle McCartney's probably going out there to lead a lap, but man, he was quick enough to go out there and win a lap on his own. So, not sure if staying out and leading a lap then coming down's the best way. But this tells me, Frank, that there's something going on with fuel. You can't make it from here to the end anyway, so just stay out. And that's a huge gamble here at Iowa.
McCartney and Weaver in the 16 have not come down pit road since that third caution on lap 32. Ryan Steele makes a little bit more sense. He came down to pit on lap 52. Earl Weaver lap 41. So the 12 makes a lot more sense than the 18 and the 16, because there are a limited number of tires that you have here. Ryan Steele, looking back at the pit time, that was just a top off of fuel though on lap 52 for the number 12, so he still might be on the same set of tires that he took on lap 32. Let's take a look and see what pit stop laps he had. Looks to be around lap 50, so maybe he came down, took tires on 50, and then came back in to top off.
Yeah, I think, and anybody who's viewing this goes, well, if you can't make it to the end, then why do you pit right now, right? If the decision by the drivers that are up front is, well, we're not going to make it anyway, let's stay out. Well, now you tend to question, okay, well, why did everybody else pit? Well, you now get to talk about a league who's notorious for long, sustained green flag runs. If this thing does go to the end, all those drivers who just pitted have freed themselves up for some strategy, playing out, and you might be only taking a little bit of gas and maybe 2 tires, and you'll roll the dice and see what happens. So definitely opens you up for more opportunities versus these guys who didn't pit. You're probably looking at taking 4 no matter what.
Meanwhile, the guys up at the front are going to be looking for a very quick caution because 40-lap fresher tires at Iowa, you will see very, very clearly the difference between who took tires and who did not. As it'll be Kyle McCartney lining up on the inside ahead of Ryan Steele. David Weaver in the 16 will line up in front of Earl Weaver in the 46. Then the rest of the field that came down pit road under this caution.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're hoping for a caution, but you don't want to be the caution. So these drivers up front are going to have to manage their stuff well. Haven't talked nearly as much, I think, as we should about how complicated restarts are here at Iowa. The front stretch is curved, so under normal conditions, it's difficult. But now you have really old tires on these cars. I think we're in for a treat here as we get rolling.
Treat for some, a disaster for others, as we are just shy of halfway here, round number 8 of the Western States Racing League here at Iowa Speedway. Kyle McCartney leading them down. Green flag back in the air, working lap 79 of 160.
Gingerly so, the front couple get away, and there's a stack up behind them, just mainly because, well, they didn't get going fast enough, and you have a whole hungry mess of cars back here.
It's Mike Fisher in the middle there in the number 19. A little bit more 3 wide as there goes Fisher into the wall. With Wayne Hutchinson, they keep it straight, so we stay green. But boy, oh boy, that pinch really came quickly.
How in the world was that not worse than what it was? We're definitely going to see more of that as these cars trying to navigate around, and there's another yellow.
Yep, caution's out. That was Fisher sliding sideways. So we'll see initially what happened. We'll try to at least. Off the restart with Mike Fisher and Wayne Hutchinson. Hopefully this is it. Well, this is going to be right off the restart. See Fisher very aggressive, goes 3 wide up the middle. Fuson goes to the bottom.
17 comes down just a smidgen, and
trying to stay off the wall.
Yeah.
And 3 wide again with 17 once again on the outside. The 85 of Eric Woods a little bit further behind, and then the 19 tries to send it into turn 1, and yeah, realized he was going to hit Julian Ricci, stabbed the brake, and around he went.
Well, we did it, Frank. We made it to halfway.
And I think our reward will be a break, so we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching round number 8 action of the Western States Racing League here at Iowa. We'll be back right after this. Western States Racing League here at Iowa Speedway. Working lap 86 of 160 when we get this race back going. Kyle McCartney, Ryan Steele, having not come down pit road on lap 74 when the rest of the leaders did, are out in front. Green flag in the air once again.
The rest of the field behind them will have to be patient, trying to make their way out around these drivers. And we're going to see a quick battle for second here come and go as, well, that was that, Frank. I didn't even have time to really talk about it, and it's over.
Jeff Schmeier, well, not quite yet. Jeff Schmeier still having to get around that 12 of Ryan Steele, and Schmeier, even on the fresher tires, down on that bottom, not quite able to get the pass done. Now he's got him. Schmeier up into second. Jeff Hollingsworth trying to follow through.
If you're Schmeier, you really got to make quick work of McCartney up front. You can't let that 97 by you. As I say that, the 97 looking to the inside for second. This is going to be eventually for the battle for the lead. That 97 so good out there in clean air. You have to capitalize while he's back behind, guys.
3 wide behind them. That's Lyle Swearingen in the 68. Christian Bishop, highest he's been tonight, as we are 3 wide for the race lead. McCartney gets swallowed up through the middle. It's between Hollingsworth and Schmeier now. Schmeier on the outside. He's going to have the run. Hollingsworth will be able to clear, though.
Just barely cleared him, though, coming out of 4, and these two are not done. Side by side with one another going in through 1 and 2. The 30's only hope is to get a great big run here down the backstretch.
Jeff Schmeier may have the points lead, but he does not have a win yet this season. 7 different winners in 7 races thus far. Hollingsworth, winner at Dover. Chad Stearns, winner at Kansas. Ross Rawlings won at Talladega. Christian Bishop at Mid-Ohio. Mike Fisher won on debut at Bristol. Ryan Steele winning at Darlington. And Bentley Glazer winning last week at Texas. So we've got a lot to play for here, especially for Schmeier looking to get that first win of the year.
Yeah, take a look here at the battle back here for third place. This is Bishop and Swearingen going back and forth between one another. I'm really impressed by Christian Bishop as he's able to make that outside line work.
Last time we saw a debutant up towards the front, he ended up taking the win. That was Mike Fisher again at Bristol. Look who just got back into the top 5. Sands back bumper, Justin Michael in the 87 back up into the top 5. He's got Bentley Glazer right behind him. He's trying to get into the top 5 for the first time tonight.
There's got to be some aero advantage, making the car rotate through the center of the corner a little bit better. Without that back bumper, he has been on a mission. He has been carving up the rest of the field, but the battle continues to go back and forth here for third place.
Think of Mark Martin at Martinsville as, that was Barry Phil trying to get out of the way, and that will give Christian Bishop the advantage in that battle against Swearingen. As Swearingen had to back off and swerve to try to get away from that 42 of Barry Phil. As we continue to see Justin Michael really arcing the corner well, right down to the bottom of the racetrack, and then gets a very good run off. That 87 is fast tonight.
Yes, he is, and he might be the only one in the field that can actually get something going for the leader, Hollingsworth, but he's got to make quick work of these drivers in order to make his way up there. Certainly has the pavement for it. As you can see, everybody else is up high. He's going to try to go where they aren't.
Yep, absolutely, and he's making headway down there on that bottom. It's such an easy arc back onto the straightaway for that 87 as well. It's putting very little pressure and very little stress on that car as we're riding on board with him here these last couple laps. There's not much drama in this. It's just raw pace.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how he's able to kind of keep the car underneath him, especially on corner exit. Normally with that low exit, you're sideways trying to just hold on to the thing. But he's doing a really good job. Look at that nice, easy up the hill. Doing a great job, just a little bit at a time. And I think a lot more like what we see at modern day Daytona, right? If you got one car just trying to side draft the rest of the choo-choo train on the outside, you're not going to pass them in one big swoop. You're going to work at it for a little bit, just a quarter panel at a time.
Michael doing a great job there of getting a late apex, maximizing his top speed going out of turn 4, able to slide himself in front of Lyle Swearingen to take over that 4th spot. As now he sets his sights on Christian Bishop as Swearingen catches the wall out of turn 4. Now is going to have to turn his eyes towards a defense to Bentley Glazer.
And Glazer doing a really good job right now. He's up 19 spots tonight in that 31 machine. Doing an excellent job just keeping the car underneath him.
Riding on board with Bentley Glazer right now. Not a lot of drama in that car. Granted, it's been on track on those tires for the better part of 30 laps now. Not too much movement of the hands. There's a little bit, but nothing too strenuous, nothing too crazy.
Well, speaking of tires, we can take a look back to P8 where Kyle McCartney has settled in. I mean, that's impressive, Frank. I really thought he'd free fall through the field a bit quicker.
And here's the thing, especially around a racetrack like this, the tires will only fall off so far to a certain point as far as the performance goes. His tires have leveled off compared to everybody else. His last lap was a 24.91. That was a tenth quicker, or a half a tenth quicker than Jeff Hollingsworth, who came into pit 40 laps after he did.
Math. It's a beautiful thing. And here we are. We're seeing the proof that this strategy can work out. It might not get you the lead for very long, but certainly if you got good pace in that car, which we have seen the 18 do just that, it can get you a top 10.
Now what this has done is, now McCartney, it's actually put him back. Now he may have an extra set on the wall compared to everybody else for later on in the race, but it has put him back because when that caution came out, when everyone came into pit on lap 74, he was running in third, battling very, very close with Lyle Swearingen for second. He's now dropped to 8th, so you can make the argument that while he does have a fresh set of tire, an extra fresh set of tires compared to everybody else, it's put him behind where he would have been had he just come into pit on lap 74 with all the other leaders. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And the heartbreaking part is, Frank, if they're sitting on the wall at the end of this thing, they did you no good. Yep. So he's going to have cautions. He needs to have cautions break his way in order for this strategy to work.
By the way, Bob Beltrami has pulled off and stopped. He is now officially in race control after 33 laps. Not that bad turning around. I believe it was hip surgery that Bob Beltrami had, so kept him out of the car for 2 weeks. Running 30 laps tonight here at Iowa. I'm sure he will try to run a little bit more at Hickory next week. But a solid effort, though, for that number 14 of Beltrami, as Julian Ricci is around on the front straightaway, far enough off the racing line, so we'll stay green.
Yeah, my field of view for that one machine, I don't know if it was the camera angle or what, but I thought the one was going backwards there for a moment. Let's take a peek and see what happened.
We bounced off the wall in an awkward way down into the 88 of Paul Crumry. I just never got it straight from there. As now he's fallen behind Jeff Hollingsworth, has lost the lead lap position that he had, as now Justin Michael putting Christian Bishop under a lot of duress right now.
That 87's got a lot of pace, and so I'm looking to see him make some quick work of this 26 machine, although that one is now down there on his preferred line, so that pass is going to have to wait a little while.
Yep, it is. So we continue to march on through here, working lap 109, pardon me, of 160. Jeff Hollingsworth once again out in front. It's going to take an almighty effort from somebody to try to unseat him from the front of this field tonight.
Yeah, I agree. That 97 has just been on rails all evening. And he's been able to do a little bit of everything with that. Remember, on that pit strategy, he wasn't exactly car number one out there on the field. He had to work his way back up through, and he had to beat that 30 Ford sitting behind him to get the lead quickly. And he most certainly did that, and no competition's been close to him tonight.
No, he has been in a class of his own as it has come to this race here tonight. And the last time he drove like this, it was to a race win to open up this season, as we see Justin Michael sliding right on past Christian Bishop. Got a very good run out of turn 4, and he'll get the same here through 1 and 2. Justin Michael up to the podium.
If you give him that bottom lane, he can really make it work. And we've been watching him for a little while now, and that 87, if he can get the line he wants, I think that's the only guy in this field that might have something for Hollingsworth.
Well, you've got to be able to make a pass down on that bottom line. It's very much akin to racing at Kansas, especially in these underpowered cars. It's underpowered compared to the Cup cars, I should say, where you're running that outside line. You're going to have to go to the bottom to pass them because you can't run through them on the outside. Well, you shouldn't run through them on the outside. And Michael has made that inside line work for himself so well tonight, has put a lot of guys behind him just from that ability to be able to run well where everyone else isn't.
Yeah, and it helps your car rotate through the corner on the turn 1 and 2 side as well. So when you're racing where there's nobody else in front of you, get some clean air on that nose, you're able to really point the car where you want it to go. As you can see, he's outside of the wake of that 30 machine. They're not going very fast around here in terms of what these cars can do, but it certainly does help, as maybe 31's taking a piece out of Michael's playbook.
We know Bentley Glazer, again, 4-time reigning defending champion here in this series. 2 of those 4 years, he has won the Tuesday night and the Friday night championship as well. So we know how dangerous that 31 can be. Took him a lot longer to get up through the field tonight as compared to what we're used to seeing him do. But nonetheless, he is up into the top 5, into 4th position now. As we'll take a look a little bit further back, Kyle McCartney, who you had mentioned before had stopped falling, he's actually gaining now. Is that number 18? Last we saw, he was in 10th. He's now in 8th, looking for 7th against Lyle Swearingen and 6th against Dennis Fuson.
I love it. And look at the move. He's going to put that car wherever he wants to. That's a driver that's really confident in his machine. I get worried for when he will have to pit. Sometimes you drive a car like what McCartney has been doing for so long on worn tires, you kind of forget how to drive it when you have 4 fresh ones underneath you. So he won't have a lot of time to figure that out. But certainly that 18 machine holding his own back here.
He will have an abundance of grip, though. That is for certain. And McCartney, now including a hefty helping of caution and pace laps here, has gotten this car around for almost 90 laps on this tank of fuel and set of tires here.
Yeah, that's crazy. And ultimately, again, like you said, Frank, these guys are trying to figure this out with an abundance of cautions when it comes to this particular league. So definitely helping him along, but certainly no way that 18 is going to make it all the way to the end.
No. I'm starting to think now that everyone else might. Now, granted, again, we have not had the amount of cautions in this run. This has been by far and away the longest run of the race thus far, as Lyle Swearingen now having to defend from Kyle McCartney on the bottom. McCartney can't quite make the move, but he is going to dive deep down into turn number 3, run a little bit higher up the racetrack, hopefully mitigate the run that Swearingen gets, and unfortunately for McCartney, that does not happen.
I just have to sit back here and laugh. I mean, it doesn't make any sense why this 18 car is now moving forward through the field. I know you talked about earlier about how tires tend to level off, but that means you're even. That doesn't mean you're you're good at passing these guys. But McCartney's doing a great job at doing just that. And as you can see, the battle behind him now continues on between Swearingen and Barnes. That's the battle for 8th place now.
Again, it's the competitive times against the tires. They do level off, and those 40 lap pressure tires that Hollingsworth has compared to Kyle McCartney, we'll see right now. Hollingsworth with a 25.18 the last time around. McCartney in clean air, not battling anyone, just ran a 25.28, so he's only a tenth slower than the race leader, and it's because even with all the wear, the tire performance has leveled out to a point where McCartney can show how much he has used those tires, and he's coming into pit right now after doing 90 laps on those tires in that tank of fuel.
Making his way down pit road, and these guys are going to have to pay attention to that 18 making his way onto the pit lane. So will that force these guys cut their losses and come down too? We'll have to wait and see. Ultimately, we're going to take a look back here up front because something has changed. Bentley Glazer has gotten ahead of Justin Michael. You talked about earlier, Frank, how that 31 was methodically moving through the field. Now he's past one of the stronger cars in the field.
He's very good at saving his tires and getting back through the field is Bentley Glazer. Here's how he got past Justin Michael, and it was a mistake by Michael catching the wall coming out of turn 4. Made the pass for the 31 rather easy.
Yeah, it doesn't get much easier than that.
Battle still going on for 8th position is Ryan Steele, another guy who hasn't come into pit in quite some time, has gotten out ahead of Lyle Swearingen and Brian Barnes, who still run side by side with Charles Woods watching intently behind. Swearingen working that outside line, just can't quite get the pass.
Oh no!
As Jeff Schmeier was up in the fence. Caution is out.
Huge implications, and the guy that did not want to see that is Kyle McCartney. He wanted this one to stay green and kind of bully the field to go down pit road. Now that's out the window. I'm sure everybody's going to come down and take 4 fresh ones.
Absolutely right. As Jeff Schmeier was up on that outside, we'll try to see what happened here. We're going to be a little bit early on the incident. As there is Schmeier. We might be a lap early. Here we are. So Schmeier running that seam up there. It's James Campbell in the 13. Getting passed up by Hollingsworth. Fortunately for Schmeier, though, he's only going to lose 1 spot. It's not like he's going to go down too far. As oh no, we were a ways ahead here. Let's try it out here. Schmeier with Campbell below him. And Campbell pushed up.
Another case of, it's another case of you're out there on that high line. You're expecting that driver to your inside to go as low as you can. And
I think that might have been the other way around. I think that 13 pushed up.
Well, yeah. What I'm saying is that's probably the last thing that Schmeier expected, right?
Yes.
Where you're up there kind of minding your own business, and it does not pan out for him in that instance, but rather in this instance off pit road, he's going to come off second.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt him at all, actually, as Schmeier is going to get spun from second, get in third in the queue, and now he's going to come out of pit road in second. So that doesn't hurt him at all. Bentley Glazer with a long pit stop goes from second to 5th, falling behind Schmeier, Michael, and Bishop here on this restart.
Frank, we cover quite a number of series together, and I still don't get how people can wreck, and they're better for it. And when we wreck, we keep losing spots. So I don't know if it's us in the booth or what's going on, but
that just means we're wrecking wrong. That's all that means.
I guess so.
That just means we don't know how to crash.
Oh, well, I know how to crash, Frank. I've done it a lot. So I've put in quite a bit of work. My resume is pretty long. So I think something that is of note here for the 31 machine of Glacier is that I was looking at his car at the end of the last run. He did have some right side damage to that 31 machine. As you can see, that rear quarter panel. Let's see if he kind of waited for that to get repaired here.
Yeah, it's not a fast repair for the 31. He didn't slide the box, so yeah, he was waiting on damage repair. It wasn't long. Compare that to the drivers who came out ahead of him. Jeff Hollingsworth at a 14.9 second pit stop. Schmeier with a 14.55. Michael a 14.5. Bishop a 14.6. And Glazer with a 16.37. So it wasn't horrifically slower, but he was waiting on something. As you see that right rear corner looking decisively different than the replay we just showed you.
Yeah, I mean, that's driver preference, right? If it's messing with the handling of your car, you've kind of dealt with it long enough. You can spend just a little bit of time, as Frank was able to share with us here. Nothing too terrible. I mean, he went from third to fifth, so he's okay. He's got a good car underneath him too.
He absolutely does. There's a couple of guys behind him though that have a couple of very good cars as well, especially ahead of him. And 97 has been darn near impossible to beat here tonight. Jeff Schmeier has been very good.
I'm looking at Yep, I'm looking at him. I'm looking at Justin Michael right now. He's been very aggressive early on in the runs. Don't have a lot of time between here and the end. This is the closest you're going to get to that 97, so go out and make some hay.
You can push it a little bit harder than you have before. You do have to save a little bit, as there goes Hollingsworth. Schmeier not quite able to keep in touch with him, but Michael does keep in touch with that 30. Looking to the inside.
Yes, and he will go to his line down there on that low line, wrap in turns 1 and 2. You can't get it done now, but you can certainly set up a pass for the next lap. But wow, I did not expect Schmeier to really get the run he did out of the corner.
Well, while Justin... Hollingsworth goes around from the race lead. Is able to mitigate damage down to 5th. But a rare mistake tonight here from Hollingsworth.
And that is how quickly a lead can go away here at Iowa. One mental slip, and you are sideways out of the corner. Good job on the 97 to not make that worse, but there will be a mountain to climb now.
Well, we've said he's made mistakes and has gotten caught up in other people's mistakes late in races, and that was another case of it right there. Hollingsworth could have 2 to 3 wins on this season, looking at a possible 4th, but right now he's running in 4th position.
Wow, that changes the whole complexion of this race. Now you get the chance that you've been waiting for this whole time. Get out in front of him, run away. 3 guys have the opportunity to do that right now.
Take a look and see what happened. This is coming off of turn 4. Jeff Hollingsworth from the race lead, unforced error.
And that might just be, Frank. Yeah, that might just be, again, you don't have a lot of experience with brand new tires, right? These guys, it's been a while since they were out there on new tires. Your throttle point is so different off that corner with fresh tires underneath you. Sometimes you're overly aggressive.
Absolutely could be, and Hollingsworth has gotten that car back under him, and he is hustling. Fastest lap of the race at a 23.95 that last time around for Hollingsworth, so he is pushing that 97.
Drive angry now, so 97 is going to try to make his way back up towards the front.
Glazer moves over for him. His teammate at OGR moving over, letting him go.
And the battle will continue between Michael and Schweimer for the lead. We're going to take a look back here for 7th, 8th, and 9th. What a bounce back day for that 19 machine. I feel like we talked a lot about him today.
Mike Fisher, middle of the race, was an absolute mare for that number 19. Got caught up in a couple of spins. Now back up inside the top 10. Running in 6th place now, trying to chase down Dennis Fuson to get back into the top 5. Side by side with Brian Barnes, pardon me. As Barnes, not quite. Fuson, a little bit of a connection issue, putting him in the wall. And now Hollingsworth looking to the inside of Justin Michael. 20 to go.
You can't let him by. Yep, you can't let him by if you're Michael. You have to race as aggressive as you have been all race long, because once that 97 gets out in clean air, he is gone. So you got to make quick work of the leader in front of you if you have any shot of winning this thing.
Jeff Schmeier, for the first time tonight, has a chance to hold a lead. Justin Michael, for the first time tonight, has a chance to go for it. And Jeff Hollingsworth, for the first time tonight, has to really scramble through the field.
I think it will work out in Michael's favor if you keep giving him that low line. We talked about all night long. He's so good at being able to apex the corner as the run wears on, and that will pay dividends as the run does carry on, and at 30 he's going to let him have it.
Schmeier feeling more comfortable on the outside line. The 87 feeling more comfortable on the bottom. Each with their own preferred lines, thinking that they have the winning strategy to get around this racetrack faster than the other.
Meanwhile, Hollingsworth sitting back in third going, what do I have to do to get by these guys and not make any more mistakes here in this one? The job's not over yet, but he can see the top of the mountain. He's almost there.
Lap times for the top 3 last time around, 24:60, 24:60, 24:60. All 3 of these guys ran the exact same time last lap.
Oh, man. It doesn't get any closer than that, folks. And we have a great battle going on here for the lead. Don't forget, Bentley Glazer, he's back there in 4th. He let his buddy by, but he didn't let him run away. He's hanging right outside of this battle.
24:67, 68, 68, 68. That was your top 4 last time around. We're talking about equally matched.
Yeah, and they're all doing it differently, Frank. That's what I love about Iowa. The driver's preference doesn't necessarily mean one is doing it right and the other's doing it wrong. You can be very competitive here, running very different lines.
Justin Michael diverting off of his inside line, jumping to the outside.
Yeah, trying to learn perhaps of what Schmeier is doing in front of him, saying, okay, where is he better than me? And I think he is better than him in 3 and 4. So it would behoove him, to stay up there and just learn what's going on. He's definitely got the upper hand in 1 and 2, though.
Absolutely. Michael getting very close to that outside wall. And with that, Michael starting to run away a little bit from Jeff Hollingsworth. As Schmeier coming down the racetrack a little bit, trying to block off that line, get some dirty air to the front bumper of that 87, as Michael was about a 10th quicker than Jeff Schmeier that last time around.
I love that move by Schmeier in turns 1 and 2. Take away the air off the 87 machine. Make him use a different line to get out around you. It's no secret. He's really good down there in 1 and 2. As you can see, they're going back to what works for him. And look at the 87, how big of a run he gets off that corner.
He's so smooth and so fluid off of the corner. It just floats up the racetrack. as compared to probably just him trying to really push it and shove it up the racetrack. It just glides up there, carries so much speed, and Michael, it's starting to feel like there's only a matter of time before he gets around this number 30 with 10 laps to go when they hit the line.
Yes, and you can definitely get aero loose in these cars. These Xfinity rides are really touchy on the quarter panel, so all that 87 has to do is push some air in between him and the 30, and you got a fighting chance. I think he will make it happen in these next few laps, but that will bring the 97 and 31 right back into the mix of these things. As soon as these guys get sideways, it'll be a 4-car battle for the lead.
Jeff Schmeier looking for his first win this season, current points leader in that number 30. Justin Michael looking for his first win on debut here tonight. Hollingsworth looking for his first win since the opening round of the season. Bentley Glazer looking for his second win in a row. That is what is at stake up here in the top 4. Dennis Fuson now battling side by side with Mike Fisher for 5th in the background.
Yes, and this battle that we're panning to now, again, talking about how that 19 machine has worked really hard to get to where he is in Mike Fisher, but Dennis Fuson, don't overlook him in that 10. I feel like we really haven't talked anything about Fuson tonight. He's kept his wits about him this evening.
Former champion in this series as well, Dennis Fuson. And I want to note something here, something that we probably haven't paid attention to much at all here. We just saw how good Mike Fisher was able to run that bottom here towards the end of this run. And we've seen all night how Justin Michael has run the bottom very, very well here tonight compared to anybody else. What do those two drivers have in common? The car that they're running, both of them running Toyotas here tonight compared to everyone else in either the Ford or the Chevrolet.
Yeah, absolutely. Just handling lines are just a smidge different between these cars. And as somebody who used to race Toyota almost exclusively through these NASCAR disciplines, as you see the 87 a little bit of a wiggle. Now I've switched over to Ford, and the handling line is just a little different. So definitely something to take note of here this evening. But Schmeier has really extended a lead in front of Justin Michael, something I did not expect here towards the closing laps.
I'm so glad you said that, because I said that about 2 years ago on broadcast, and everyone thought I was nuts. The 3 cars do handle differently from one another, and Justin Michael, I think maybe might have used up a little bit too much, a little bit too early, because Jeff Schmeier now starting to run away with 4 laps to go.
And it's such a helpless feeling for Justin Michael. You knew that you had a chance when you were able to fend off Jeff Hollingsworth and say, I want the battle for the lead. You stay back there. But ultimately could not get it done. Now Hollingsworth looks to the inside. He wants second, and they're going to touch coming out of turn 4.
Big knock on the door there from Jeff Hollingsworth. That's going to cost him 2 spots. Bentley Glazer up to 3rd. Mike Fisher up to 4th. And Hollingsworth, again, after that unforced error from the race lead right after the restart, coming out of turn 4, has put himself in a poor spot in a race that he has dominated tonight.
And meanwhile, they're all chasing Schmeier, who is extending his lead right now. He says, okay, y'all keep battling. I'm going to run away with this thing.
And he is doing just that. Jeff Schmeier, last year, finished 2nd place in points, just 20 points adrift of Bentley Glazer, 14 points to the good. In points right now, the last time he won, well, what do you know? It was Richmond, a very similar shaped short track to Iowa. Coming through turn 2 right now, he's got a 9/10 of a second lead. Justin Michael now forced to hold off Bentley Glazer, but no one is going to catch Jeff Schmeier coming out of turn number 4. He will win here at Iowa. 8 races, 8 different winners, and Glazer beats Michael at the line.
Finish here. We were in for a treat tonight, and it was a 4-car battle for so long, and ultimately it's Schmeier pulling away, securing the victory here at Iowa. What a ride for him.
That one dive from Jeff Hollingsworth cost him a podium spot. The one mistake cost him the win. The one dive cost him a podium spot. He finishes in 5th tonight. What a disappointing race, I'm sure, for the 97.
Yeah, you can walk away from this one knowing you had raw speed if you're Hollingsworth. As the 4 and 30 get into it here on.
That's
on
right.
Burnouts,
That's right. You're new here. You haven't seen the tradition yet.
Oh,
These guys will start beating and banging off each other all night.
oh goodness. Okay, well, I'm glad I know that now. Still learning towards the end of our event tonight here at Iowa, but ultimately it was a great race, right? We got to. Oh my word! What? Okay, I love it, Frank. This is great.
All right, so I will set the fight between you and Mike up for the rest of the season.
Nope, I'm good. I'm good,
Okay,
Frank.
no, okay. One broadcast at midnight, and you're good, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So right now, we're waiting on Mr. Jeff Schmeier and Bentley Glazer, but we do have our third place finisher tonight. Actually, we do have our race winner, Jeff Schmeier. Zach, you are with him.
Jeff, this is Zach up in the booth. I'm excited to talk to you because this is my first ever race here with Sim Racing Media, covering you guys. And man, you guys put on a great show. Talk to the fans about what your experience tonight here at Iowa was all about.
Oh man, yeah, I was finally get that monkey off my back after being so close for a bunch of races this season. But yeah, it was pretty rough. It was pretty tight out there. I was just trying to save my stuff, stay on the top lane, and kind of be able to defend. And Justin definitely gave me a run for my money at the end. I was doing everything I can to keep it behind me.
Yeah, you certainly did an excellent job fending off one of the few guys in the field that was really able to wrap the bottom of the racetrack. How confident were you towards the end of this thing that you were going to be able to hold him off? At what point did it really click for you? Like, hey, I have the chance to really get the win here.
Oh, well, at first I thought I was going to be on the attack with Jeff, but when he got loose there, then suddenly I find myself on the defense. So yeah, he was yeah, I don't know how he could do it, because whenever I went down there, I didn't feel like I was any kind of fast. I kind of finally figured it out with about 10 laps to go and started to pull away. But yeah, it was interesting just trying to kind of hold him to a spot where he couldn't really get a good run off me.
Yeah. So ultimately, you pull off the win here tonight. Taking a look forward in your schedule, I believe you're going to Hickory next. So what about that racetrack really speaks to you? Is that something you're looking forward to?
I don't know. It's a really small racetrack for a lot of cars. So, but I think we're breaking it up into heats. So we'll see what happens. I do love me some short tracks. So we'll see if I can hold them off again.
All right. Well, Jeff, this time is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout outs.
Got to thank my Dog Bear team. We got Brian and Ryan up in the top 10. That's awesome. And then, of course, I got to thank my mom, my dad, my sister, my girlfriend, and my girlfriend's parents. They all watch, and I just want to say I love you guys.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, go and enjoy it. You really put on a good show there tonight. Go and enjoy this one.
Right. Thank you, sir.
That was your race winner, Jeff Schmeier, once again. 8 races, 8 winners here this season thus far, as we'll now bring in our second place finisher, Bentley Glazer. Bentley, you got him right at the line. What did it take there at the last second to beat out that 87?
Oh, I don't know. It's tough. I was trying to keep my tires on it there at the end, and I was happy watching the battle. I was just running fourth, and then they started getting loose and stuff, so I was able to get over there.
Now, we're used to seeing you start from the back of these races. We're not so used to not seeing you move your way up through the field as quickly as you were tonight. It was very slow progress for you, it seemed. Was that just you trying to keep the tires in check, or was it really difficult to pass out here?
A bit of both, actually. I was trying to save my tires, but yeah, everybody was fast and it was just hard to get around.
All right, we head to Hickory next week, back in the trucks. What are your thoughts going into Hickory?
I might not be there for that. I really don't like that track. Like, it makes me dizzy. So I don't know. We'll see. We might run it.
Fair enough. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Thank you guys for broadcasting. Thank all my teammates at OGR, and thanks Bob Beltrami and everybody at West States Racing League.
All right, your second place finisher tonight, Bentley Glazer. Bud, congratulations.
Thank you.
And that will leave the series debutante, Justin Michael, with you, Zach, here to close it out.
Justin, it's Zach up in the booth. It was really great to watch you work a line that not a lot of other people were able to work tonight. Just short here with a P3 effort. What could have you done differently in that last run to get the win?
I wish I knew, man. I had a little damage, and I think that was hindering me from being fast at the end there. And I was much better when it was hot and slick. And then when the nighttime came around, it tightened up, and I don't know. It just didn't have any speed after that. With the when it was a little warmer on the track and during the daytime, I think we were much better in the long run. We were, until I turned into a human pinball. I was picking up a 10th a lap probably on the leaders. So.
Well, what about this track really suits you? Because you were really quick, from our opinion, up in the booth. Most of the race tonight, you were able to kind of drive where they weren't. So what about Iowa is something that you really tend to enjoy?
Actually, I hate this place. I don't like Richmond either. And my friend taught me how to. He really worked with me driving Richmond. I kind of put a lot of that in place here because it turn 1 definitely drives very similar to Richmond. Turn 3 is a little different, but I don't know. There's a lot of similarities there, and they go back and forth with each other. But yeah, I really don't like this place.
Oh, well, love-hate relationship, I guess, between you and Iowa, as you were able to secure a podium finish here. Now I want to ask you about Hickory. So if you got problems with Iowa, I want to hear your opinion about looking forward in the schedule for your next race at Hickory.
Is that a free track? Because if not, I have to buy it. I don't own it. I haven't raced it since NASCAR. Okay. I haven't raced it since NASCAR 2003 back in the early 2000s. So that'll be fun. I'll as long as I can make it here in time. I was a little late tonight, didn't get any practice. So but yeah, we'll grab it and run some laps and see how we do there.
All right. Well, I'm going to leave this time up to you for thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Just thanks everybody out there watching. Hopefully it was a good show for him. My friend Scott out there from Patented Paints for painting this awesome car, and hopefully we're going to get another one here soon. So we always appreciate that. And yeah, you guys call a great race. So that's the reason I joined. I caught it on YouTube last week and was like, I'll go run. It looks like fun. So.
Well, you certainly got screen time out there tonight, especially with a P3 finish. Go and enjoy it, Justin. You really worked hard out there to get it.
Appreciate it, guys.
Sim Racing Media helping to grow leagues since 2019. Zach, what a night we saw. First of all, thank you very much. Last minute, I know it's late for you. It's very, very late. It's just past midnight now. I do very, very much appreciate you jumping in here and helping me out tonight. But at least we got treated to an incredible race.
Yeah, no problem. Ultimately, we at Sim Racing Media, we love our leagues, right? We want to be able to put on a good show for them, and it's a great family here at SRM, being able to cover for folks when they're not there. And this is certainly the latest race I've ever done. It is probably the latest race I will ever do, and this league deserves it, right? Where you have a great, talented field that treated us to a little bit of everything tonight at a track car combo that certainly doesn't miss.
No, absolutely not. And it was a fantastic race here tonight. So we will get out of here as quickly as we possibly can. So one Zach Woods can go to bed. Jeff Schmeier, Bentley Glazer, and Justin Michael, your top three here tonight. Mike Fisher and Jeff Hollingsworth rounding out your top five. Dennis Fuson, Brian Barnes, Christian Bishop, Ryan Steele, and Lyle Swearingen rounding out the top 10. Charles Woods, Paul Crumry, Dan Brazington, Eric Woods, and Wayne Fleet in the top 15. Javier Torres, Earl Weaver, Keith Kelman, David Weaver, and Dustin Burns rounding out the top 20. Wayne Hutchinson, Kyle McCartney, James Campbell, Julian Ricci, and Barry Phil in 25th. Again, Kyle McCartney getting caught a lap down with that caution just after he came down pit road. Steve Banting, Butch Davis, Fred Williams, Bob Beltrami, the three drivers that did not finish this race here tonight. Will Fletcher, Chris Walker, and Alan Bergen did not start the race here tonight. So for my broadcast partner, Zach Woods, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Tune in tomorrow. Thunderclap returns. The Thunderclap iRacing Series will be back. We will be doing qualifying and the duels tomorrow night starting at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. So until then, we will see you next week at Hickory. Good night, everybody.